Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. It ain't no passing craze. It means Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and we chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we will be chronicling The Final Empire, chapters 12 through 15. And now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe. Thank you, Joe. Once again, this is Cosmere Chronicles. I am your host, and I am once again joined by Sheta and Justin. So,
yeah, who the fuck's Johnston? Have I been replaced?
I like it.
It's the new AI version I was making.
Oh, God. He can't be that good. He got the name wrong.
So, yeah, that sounds like AI.
Yeah, true.
All right, so once again, we will ask you, how are you two doing this week?
Good.
All's good in the hood.
Yeah, so we'll start off the podcast once again with, we'll get some information about the short that you like, so that way people can judge us. So the last 2 weeks, we went into DC Comics, so let's shift over to the other popular American comic industry with Marvel Comics. So start off with your top 3 favorite Marvel characters.
Characters or heroes?
Characters.
The last time you did heroes and then villains. I might not be ready for characters.
No, like characters and everyone picked heroes. So then I did villains.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go first then. If it's just all characters, then it would be Mr. Fantastic, the Juggernaut, and I think I got to go with Thanos. But that's a tough one.
I feel like we should have had some time to prep. I'll just say...
That's why I need it to be heroes. I'm just going to answer heroes instead. Just to push my thing. Because then I can say Mr. Fantastic, Luke Cage, and Dazzler. Ooh, that feels much better to break it up.
You just wanted to say Dazzler.
Well, it was so tough to just pick the 3. Now I'm technically picking 6 in my head.
All right.
That's too tough. Okay, I'll take Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Cyclops.
All right.
Am I missing anything, Justin? Do you think that's right?
Probably. You're probably missing somebody. What about Deadpool? Does he not beat Cyclops for you, Sheta?
Yeah. Yep, it's gotta be Deadpool. I feel so basic, though. Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Deadpool. Wow. It's the most popular Marvel characters.
Well, the reason they're so popular.
Yeah, I do like the main characters of things, and I like the basics.
Yeah, I guess with mine, number 1 would be Spider-Man, as embarrassing as that is to say nowadays. A couple years ago, would have been fine saying it. Ever since Zeb Wells' Spider-Man started it, I just feel embarrassed to say that.
Yeah, I feel embarrassed to say that I'm a big Star Wars fan. Like, I can't even wear my shirts anymore.
So that's why
my guy hasn't been ruined in a while, so I'll just look forward to the next time he's ruined.
So that's why my idea is that Spider-Man ended with Nick Spencer's run. After that, they retired the character and nobody's ever written it again, and they never will. Number 2, I guess since we switched to just straight up heroes, probably the Incredible Hulk. Usually when I picked up comics, that was one that I would like to read right away. And 3, I always like Sentry, even if the second half of Dark Avengers was kind of dumb writing him, but overall, reading Sentry stuff. All right, so we have that. Next, we'll just ask who is the best Spider-Man?
Movies?
Actor or character?
Actor.
Actor, okay. Because I was like, there's only the one answer. Only live action?
I can give a special shout out to Christopher Daniel Barnes.
Was that the 90s one?
Yeah.
I just watched some of
the voice.
I don't know. I'm quite fond of the Amazing Friends voice as well. Not counting Japanese Spider-Man, I think I'm just going to go Tobey Maguire personally.
I'll probably go Tobey Maguire as well. I do enjoy somewhat enjoy Tom Holland stuff. They kind of up the character with making him just try to be Iron Man light.
And Sheta, dazzle us with your out of left field pick for your favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah, it may be controversial, but it's also Tobey Maguire. But we are like around the same age, so I feel like that's
Yeah, but he's the best one. Come on.
he is
Everyone
the best.
knows that. That's why that movie made so much money. The new one.
I don't know. You could also go Nicholas Hammond. Go with him for the best Spider-Man.
Who is Nicholas Hammond?
That was from that 70s Spider-Man television show.
Oh. Well, do you?
No. I only watched like one of those, and it was okay. Who would you say is the best live-action Wolverine?
That's a tough one.
All right, but
no, I can't pick. They're all so good.
Has there been any other? I feel like, was there an old like 60s or 70s show?
No.
It would have been pretty old to be an old 70s show one. That would be very surprising.
Character would not have been that old in the 70s.
Yeah, he would look like first appearance.
Remember when Incredible Hulk 181 came out, but I believe all different X-Men was 74. But that's enough of that. Nobody cares. So
That's neither here nor there.
We put in those little things, but so people can judge us. Back to Mistborn. So we'll start off with a recap of last week's episode podcast chapters. So this time it's going to be Sheta's turn to tell us what happened.
Oh. Oh my gosh, I don't have any notes. Sheta for nothing. Okay, so it was chapters 10 through 12?
9, 10, 11 last week.
9, 10, 11. Okay. So I think Vin is learning how to use her allomancy powers. She's getting really good at it. And Kelsier and Fazed are helping her train to be a noble woman so she can be that spy for them. Fazed tells them to go to let Vin go train with Breeze and the other guys so that she can really try to get an inside look at it and learn more. Vin goes to a meeting with Breeze, using his powers to manipulate the soldiers they're trying to recruit from all the ska, and they get a message saying that Vin's old criminal crew has been massacred, right? Then they go there and it's a horrible mess. Like everyone's horribly murdered and violently murdered. And it's by what are they called? Inquisitor?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. And that it was the same Inquisitor hunting Vin. Vin, is right? Yeah.
All right.
Then Kelsier is goes off on his own to investigate something and follows him. And it's her old boss who is killed. That's how the chapter ends, right? The last chapter.
Yes. All right. Good job. They'll get a point of inspiration this week.
Yay.
So as usual, if you say something stupid, you can use it so that way it gets edited out of the show.
Don't say that. Now people think we're doing that every time.
Then at the end of the show, we're going to release just those clips.
That defeats
to our Patreon supporters. If you want to know. That might be cool.
If you do that, Shitty, you're going to get canceled for all your many racist tirades.
Or you'll go to jail because you admit to murder, like in the Jinx.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
one too.
Cool to find out?
You got to use them for smart things like that, like I do.
It only works with the podcast. Doesn't work with the law.
No, the saying that got Robert Durst arrested.
I told you that one, remember, Sheta? Where the guy kept his mic on and then basically admitted to it in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't realize it until months later. They're going through the audio as they're putting together the show. It's like, wait a minute, what is this? Oh, crap. So they handed that clip over to the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's such... Because you have 4 episodes going over all this stuff with interviews with him and stuff. So it's all right, building this. And at the very end of the show, he admitted to it when he didn't realize he did.
Gosh.
That came out around the same time, which caused an explosion of all that real crime, like podcasts and stuff. Because you had the Jinx, you had Making a Murderer, and you had the podcast Serial, kind of all come around the same.
Mhm.
All right, so this week we went over chapters 12 through 15. So what did you two think about it?
They were
No
my
complaints.
favorite chapters yet.
They were. Yeah, they would be.
Yep.
Said favorite chapters?
Yes. These are the chapters I've been waiting for.
All right. Any thoughts on them, Justin?
No complaints. All just what I expect and straightforward. Pretty exciting parts.
All right. Well, we'll go into the recap of them and go over everything in more detail now.
No, I
Chapter
think we
12.
covered them enough.
They were good. Next episode.
Yeah, end of podcast. Thanks. Time for plugs.
So going chapter 12 with the epigraph. What would it be like if every nation, from the Isles in the south to the Terrace Hills in the north, were united under a single government? What wonders could be achieved? What progress could be made if mankind were to permanently set aside its squabblings and join together? It is too much, I suppose, to even hope for. A single unified empire of man? It could never happen.
I feel like it could happen.
I feel like it did happen,
Yeah.
and it's not good. But I could have told you that.
All right, so the chapter begins, and Vin is on her way to her first ball. She is dressed in a nice light blue dress and has on some very nice and expensive jewelry. About how she could just take the jewelry and the 3,000 boxing Kelsier had given her and just leave. She doesn't leave though because of the crew. They legitimately trusted each other, and she had to know if that lasted or if it was, as Reen's growing whispers promised, all a lie. So
I believe she still
Vin
battles with that thought of wanting to just leave.
Well, she keeps hearing her brother telling her not trust people.
Yeah, but it just shows how she was brought up, that she was
Mm-hmm.
constantly thinking, should I run now? Like, I
when's
could
the
just
time to
go,
run, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I could just take all this and go at all times. Like,
It's interesting that she's reasoning out that she could live for a long time just off of this much. It really shows the scale she's been living at.
And so Vin and Sazed are riding in a carriage to the ball at Keep Venture when Kelsier lands on the carriage and goes inside. Vin asks him why it is necessary to have someone infiltrate the nobles when they could just get information from informants. Kelsier tells her that getting information will give them clues to your true motives, so relying on them too much is a risk. Also, the informants tend to only know information that servants overhear. The nobles know this and have their important meetings away from the servants. Kelsier also tells her that merely being at these parties will... Vin needs to keep note of who seems interested in her, because they are probably paying attention to Lord Renew. This would mean that they are interested in weapons, the houses she would focus his attention on. Kelsier tells Vin that they might face the Lord, and he was feeling that the fewer people they need to sneak into his presence, the better. Having a Ska Mistborn hiding among the nobility would be a powerful advantage. That the Lord Ruler would be at the ball tonight, but Kelsier tells her that it's too far below him. Kelsier tells Vin that he himself, Kelsier, will be hiding near the keep, watching and listening. Then he jumps away.
you missed my favorite part,
What's your favorite part?
where Vin asks, how do I look? And then Kelsier goes, great, just like a noblewoman should. And Vin is kind of like, that's not really the answer I was hoping to hear.
Is that how you interpreted that, Sheta?
Yes! I didn't interpret it. It was right in the book.
Oh, okay.
Well, evidence for my predictions.
Your predictions?
Wait, what prediction?
That Vin will have a crush on Kelsey.
I thought your
I
prediction
think
was
she
that
already
she was
kind
gonna.
of does.
I thought your prediction was that she was gonna have a relationship with Lestibornis and a relationship with the noble that she meets at the ball.
Yes, but also her first love will be Kelsier. But she knows that he's like out of her league because he's so important. So she'll have to settle for like one of those like boys for her boyfriend. But Kelsier will be her first love.
Another part of this whole conversation, he did mention that he had met the Lord Ruler a couple times at some of the balls, so he knows what the Lord Ruler looks like.
Do people not know what he looks like? Is that a thing? I just assumed everyone knew.
Well, I'm gonna guess maybe
I don't know. It's a different kind of world. They don't have TV and stuff, you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess like the Scon stuff don't meet him. They
Yeah,
probably don't
yeah,
know what he looks
And if he is not even coming to these balls, like where is he going? You know what I mean?
yeah.
This is kind
I
of
just
like
assumed
where
he
the
was
people
like
are,
yeah. I
like
assumed he
President
was like a
Snow.
Jesus where everyone has like a painting or statue of him out there, But I'm realizing that's not really based on anything.
Well, there is
like.
a statue of him
Yeah,
hiding the.
but still, yeah.
Yeah, because this ball is happening to Keep Venture, and if you go back to chapter 9, when Vin named off all the houses in order of power, Venture was number 1.
Mm.
Wow.
Because it went Venture, Hastings, Ilariel, Tikiel, Lical, Arakeller, Arakel, Hot, Urbane, and Buvidas. You don't need to
You
memorize
just-
all those.
I'm not convinced you didn't just make all those up off the top of your head.
How many houses is that?
Well, that's 10. Those are the 10 great houses, and there are a bunch of other smaller houses.
Okay.
Because Sazed had her say the 10 great houses in order of power. So Venture, which is where they're going now, is the top of the power as of now.
How do I feel like this is going to be in a quiz, like for later, like in school?
Oh, it's nothing like Song of Ice and Fire, where you have all these houses. Like, here are all the houses that are sworn to, the north or sworn to the west. Go to the
Oh
appendixes
gosh.
and back, and you just see so many.
Yeah.
But if you remember the houses and the book, it makes it much more rewarding when you understand the relationships.
I actually haven't had a little key that I had written down for all the houses, the minor houses.
I did it. I would, after about a third of the way through the book, I'd jump to the back, just read out all the names in the appendix like out loud, because that helped. Especially with House Frey, because that's like 3 pages. But actually understanding them just made it so interesting about the possibility of the Frey Civil War in future books.
I want to know.
I
I want to read about that.
That with how people are dying and how everyone's against each other, I think that Walder Frey dies, there's just going to be a big power vacuum, and because his heir and then like his next heir both died, and then you have all okay. All right,
That level of idea and that level of idea and characters doing stuff is why we will never get those future books you're talking about. It's just too much to cover. I feel like he just has too many ideas.
He needs
all
to
right.
delegate someone else to write the Frey Civil War.
It's never gonna happen.
All right. Back to Vin, and
Hey, you brought it
going
up.
back to I know, but back to Scadrial. So Vin arrives at Keep Venture, and she's amazed at how grand everything looks. And when she goes, also surprised at the nobles and how they look, and she wonders if they are really the same people that have beaten, raped, and killed people that she knew. Nervous as she inside, and she doesn't want to be there anymore. She just wants to hide. Then she notices the nobles are not actually looking at her. They look at her, they're looking at her dress, her makeup, her jewelry, etc. They're not actually seeing Vin. They're seeing Valette Renew, as if she is hanging right in front of them, and she's able to calm down now. And then Sazed brings her over to a table, and he had gotten her a table just for a singular person. And he tells her that after she eats her meal, some men will come over to ask her to dance. This worries Vin, because Sazed never taught her how to dance. Sazed reassures her that it'll be fine. She doesn't have to dance tonight. She can politely turn down the men since it is her first ball, and it won't look out of place for her to be too nervous to do. Remember them, though, and dance with them at her next ball. And they talk a little bit about how there's a lot of balls, and there's balls like every couple days. But she's not going to have to go to all of them. And Sazed, after she finishes her dinner, Sazed leaves to go to the servants' dinner in order to gather more information there. And while Vin's sitting at her table, she is asked to dance by 4 different men. But she politely turns them all down, and they take it gracefully. And Vin's looking at the stained glass windows in the room, and the stained glass, they depict the Lord Ruler defeating the Deepness. And she wonders why the Deepness is always formless and never shown as it actually was.
That was really
Seeks tell the
interesting to me, because I'm
thought it
always so
would.
curious about the deepness. Having her have that thought makes me start to spark some thoughts and ideas about what it might even be.
Those kind of things, I feel like they're just usually left vague like that, but it's interesting in a book like this too, that they'll talk about it, or to even talk about it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not just background flavor, it's actually something in the world, you're saying, right?
Yeah, like a character in the book is like, why is it so vague?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is very interesting.
All right, and Vin's instincts tell her that the deepness was a scam that the Lord Ruler invented as some terrible menace he had defeated in the past. But as Vin is looking at the stained glass window, she can almost believe that it was real. And if it was, then how had the Lord Ruler defeated it? As Vin's looking around, she notices that there are a lot of obligators here at the party. And she notices that at times the nobles would grab one of the obligators and talk to them. Vin burns copper and tin to listen in on one of these conversations. And the nobleman is asking the obligator to witness and record their engagement and then pays the obligator. As Vin watches the obligator, she's surprised to see that he begins talking to another obligator that she recognizes, her father. Rena had pointed him out once to her.
Sorry. That was just so shocking.
Yeah, it was very sudden.
The way it was written was so all of a sudden. Like, wait a minute, your actual dad? That's a crazy. Well, I say dad, but just father isn't just
Mm-hmm.
guy.
Yeah. Because that means nothing to her, not really much. But to you, that's very, very interesting, because we all know it's a character. So a character brings potential. But to her, it's just like this awkward, weird, random person that happened to spawn her,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing is he's also, well, I think we already knew that he was an obligator from an earlier chapter.
Yeah, but I never expected to see him.
But that's just show, like, obligators are fairly high up in their government/religion, and he's still breaking the law. And that one thing, it's like, it just shows that with with the nobles having to grab the obligators for all this, it's like obligators are having to pretty much oversee every little thing, just this very bureaucratic station that they have.
It was really weird. It was like they were babysitting or chaperoning a little bit. They're kind of like cops at a party.
That's interesting, yeah. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Sounds like they've probably got quite a paranoid system going, We're always afraid of getting caught for stuff.
You are, but if you know enough, I bet you could like pay them. Or they're also kind of your friends, kind of. Like they're trying
No,
to
they're not
like
your friends. You wouldn't
no,
think of them
like
that way at all.
some of their nobles like try to like, are you a cool obligator? Like in the one in the first chapter who thought like, I hear that you're sleeping with your ska. Are you
Yeah,
being
I see what
clean
you're
about
saying.
it? Like he's like,
Yeah.
all right, that's cool then. Like as long as you
I
clean
think
up after yourself.
yeah. It's interesting because I think she says just now or just before this about how she always thought that, the Ska are the only slaves, but then thinking these people don't have that much power in this system either because there's people above them all the way up with who could just kill them,
Yeah, say that better. Like, but it's still quite a difference to be a ska.
Yeah, of course.
At least you get to
But
eat
it's
better and
interesting.
you don't have to
Mhm.
work.
It's interesting that we see our character thinking like this, though.
Yeah, it is a
Like a
new
little
thought
more
for her.
compassionately about people,
All right. And then Vin and Balcony overlooking the ball, and she goes up to it to look over everything. And as she's watching the ball from up there, a man arrives. He left to get a wine, and now a pretty girl has stolen his favorite reading spot. His clothes fit too loosely, and his hair is a little bit disheveled. And then the man pulls out a book and begins reading. And Vin questions if he always reads at balls. He says that he does when he gets the chance. After a little bit of back and forth between the two, he finally introduces himself as Lord Elland. While they talk to each other, Vin realizes that he doesn't like House Venture, so he must be a rival. And then Ellen points out, Sazed, or he says her terraceman, is looking for Vin. So she leaves to go to Sazed, and he goes to reading. And Vin tells Sazed that she had gone up to the balcony to get a better look at the windows, but then began talking to someone. But Vin didn't think that he was that important, so she doesn't think that Kelsier needs to know his name. Sazed asks who it was, and Vin points him out. And then Sazed asks if it was one of Lord Venture's friends, and Vin tells him that Elland. Sazed pales as he realizes that it was Ellen Venture, the heir to House Venture, and that Vin is far, far below his station. And
Yeah,
so the two of
it
them
is a
leave.
prince.
A prince, you call him?
Yeah. was hoping it would be like a really high up noble prince, and it is the highest prince.
And Vin and Sid leave the ball, and Vin looks up at Ellen, and she could have sworn that he was looking at her. And then she smiles. And that's the end of chapter 12.
It's beginning. The romance.
Your theorized one?
Yeah. I can't believe it. I knew that he was interested in her, with how he was acting. Even though he was trying to act like he was too cool for her.
I always think when you live around these people so much and you're so bored by them, when somebody gives off an air of something else, it's going to be appealing, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, and then Vin was saying that she was kind of talking really openly with him too. That's in the next chapter also.
Mm-hmm.
Sheta, would you really say that someone is acting too cool when they're trying to read a book at a party?
Yeah, they're acting like they don't even care, right?
Yeah. Just the fact that he kept trying to read, and then she was like, kind of like annoyed by it, and he knew it. And then later, when she's leaving, he was just holding his book. He wasn't even trying to read. To me, that says he was just putting on airs for him.
All right. So Sheta, so you feel like Ellen and Vin are going to have a relationship?
Yeah, he's the prince. He's the prince you meet at the ball.
So you said there's going to be like a love triangle, because then she'll also have a thing with Mistborn. With what little information you have now, if she which one do you want her to pick?
Well, in my ideal, which I might be revealing too much about myself, I want Kelsier and her to end up together. Even though she's gonna be distracted by these boys, her, that's her like true love. And like in the end, after this entire series, I hope that they will end up together.
Kelsier's like twice her age.
So?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fan. Have you read Game of Thrones, Joe?
Those are not portrayed in a good light.
Are you trying to tell me Peter Baelish and Sansa are not an OTP?
Honestly, I kind of root for that. It's
creepy. It's the creepiest one.
It's creepy, but I did kind of wish that, you know what? I kind of want Peter to get the Iron Throne and marry Sansa. Just a little bit. Also, I realized wrong, and I kind of been expecting her to kill him. And what about you? How do you feel about Vin and Kelsier as a romantic couple?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't root for it either.
All right.
Then who is Kelsier gonna hook up with then, Justin?
No one.
Well, there's 3 books. You can always add a older woman in the second or third one.
I will be surprised if Kelsier survives all 3 books. Personally.
I was honestly kind of scared in this last chapter.
All right. Anything else from this ball chapter you two want to go over?
Let's see.
Go to the ball.
One more
and
point.
Just sit the whole time and do nothing.
Huh?
I thought it was interesting to have her go to the ball and just sit there bored off her ass the whole time and do nothing. I expected to have a lot of generic interacting with people and stuff and people asking her boring questions and stuff. So I thought it was funny that she's just sitting there instead politely declining dances.
This, was actually a very realistic kind of thing when you go to a party and you don't know anyone. Like, you're just going to be seen.
Woman being like, "Oh, you dear thing, who are you?" Or some like stock character like that. I didn't want to see.
Yeah, no one wants to see.
But first it was her going there. I'm good. In the future, she'll probably have more interactions with people at these balls.
Yeah, I expect to, but that's not what I expected out of this chapter. I liked how
something bad would happen. I thought something bad would happen. Like,
or have
a confrontation,
or cryptic thing, some forced drama. But we got some actual drama stuff with her polite conversation and then her realizing it's somebody important. And it's later, but I like when she's like, "Dear God, I was so open with him. Was he using elemency on me?" And she's like, "No, I was just open for some reason." Like, she's all confused because she just doesn't
talk about it yet.
That's not a big thing. she doesn't talk in these environments very often, which, she's usually on guard, not all dressed up in a flowery ball. So it's
Yeah,
not her place she excels.
it's interesting that lounging about is a new skill for her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I wanted to say I liked the part when she was talking about she was scared, but then she realized, yeah, nobody's paying attention to her. I think we touched upon that, but just that she's never been in a situation like that before where the people around her are so vapid and uncaring and unpaying attention, that she feels like she can actually hide out like she always tries to do so much by covering up those parts of herself. I thought that was interesting.
My quote is from this time, so I'll say one later.
All right.
I will point out the part I liked when Stacey left her at the table by herself, and if she was feeling really alone, then she thinks, wait, I'm not alone. Kelsier is out there somewhere in the night watching. And then she felt a lot better.
That part was nice too.
Yeah. So romantic.
Move to chapter 13. The epigraph. I know that I shouldn't let a simple packman perturb me. However, he is from Terrace, where the prophecies originated. If anyone could spot a fraud, would it not be he? Nevertheless, I continue my trek, going where the scribbled auguries proclaim that I will meet my destiny, walking, feeling Rashik's eyes on my back, jealous, mocking, hating.
This is one of my favorite of those things because we're starting to see a side of this narrator guy that we haven't seen before. He always seems pretty put together, but this makes him sound really paranoid and crazy.
He's kind of losing it.
Yeah.
Well, do you think he's just going crazy, or do you think this Rashik guy is, hating him or whatever?
Jealous of him?
The way he words it makes me think that though there is probably some truth to his worries, he's probably also either a crazy person or a dangerous person. As in, either this terrorist guy is a good guy who he worries about stopping whatever he's doing, or he's just a regular dude and he's completely paranoid.
I like the idea that he's just a normal guy and he's just paranoid.
Well, I don't think a normal guy, but yeah.
He's like, hey, what's up? And he's like, oh, he wants to steal my power. Like,
so it'd be like in Kaguya-sama when she thinks of the pink-haired girl, right? It's like,
yeah,
backstabbing cow slut trying to
cow
take everything from
form.
me at all times. Right. And then she's
yeah, he's
exactly
just having
like
some
that.
major distortions. Yeah.
All right. So the chapter begins. Vin is sitting down in Lord Renew's mansion as she thinks about Elend. There had been something odd about him. She realizes that she was actually herself with him. She had never felt this way with someone except during times with Kelsier and the other crew members. And then Kelsier and Lord Renew arrive and they talk with Sazed and Vin. Sazed tells Kelsier that Vin had caught the attention at the ball. Kelsier asks if he is the heir, and Renew says that he is. Renew says that he had met Ellen 4 years ago, and he seemed a bit undignified for his position. That seems odd to Vin because there's no way that he's been imitating Renew for 4 years. Only pits of Hathsin 2 years ago.
Interesting.
Vin asks, isn't she supposed to get people to like her? And Kelsier says not a man as important as Ellen Venture. A relationship with him would make the women jealous of her, and the older men would disapprove of the rank difference. Vin would alienate herself from large sections of the court. To get information, the aristocracy need to see her as uncertain, unimportant, and unthreatening. Just that Vin offend him. She can give him a couple of those glares that she does. After Vin glares at Kelsier, he exclaims, "That's the one!" Vin decides to change the topic, so she tells him that she saw her father at the party. She wasn't able to describe him to Kelsier. She just said, alligator with tattoos. So Kelsier tells her to point him out in the future if they see them. Then Kelsier excuses himself, and Vin finds it suspicious the way that he left. So Vin says that she'll retire as well, but instead of going to her room, she follows Kelsier. And she finds that he is using, to get from Feliz to Luthadel, he's using these spikes that are in the ground, which, kind of like an allomantic highway to travel quickly to Luthadel. Because you just push off of it to jump, and then as you get to a certain point, there's another one, you just push, so you're able to go really fast.
Fast traveling.
So Vin just uses pretty much. Vin uses it and notices notices that she made it in half the time it would have taken to. But once she's in Luthadel, Vin has lost track of Kelsier. So she begins just randomly moving around the city, and then she finds herself arriving at Cape Venture. As she contemplates why she came here, Vin finds Kelsier on a roof nearby. She worries that Kelsier is here to assassinate Ellen. Kelsier leaves that roof, and Vin goes to follow him, but then Kelsier surprises her from behind. Kelsier says that first he thought that she was a Venture Mistborn. And he also tells Vin that Ellen isn't a Mistborn, and he's not even a Misting.
It's too bad. I thought they would go superheroing together. But I guess the Stavonis and her can do that.
Then Kelsier tells Vin that he can't have her following him like this. He needs her to trust him. Vin asks why he doesn't tell them where he is going, and he says that some things are too dangerous and he doesn't want to worry them. And Vin realizes that the direction he was heading was towards Credit Shaw, the Lord Ruler's palace. Kelsier says that he's going there, but hopes he doesn't run into the Lord Ruler inside. Kelsier tells Vin to go to Clubs' shop, but he knows that she will just wind up following him. Vin says that she wants to do more to help. She is a Mistborn and wants to help as a Mistborn. And Kelsier reluctantly gives Vin a tiny silvery ball of metal. It is atium, and it is the 10th and most powerful allomantic metal. Vin swallows it and then burns it, and it makes her see a shadowy form of Kelsier that moves slightly earlier than his normal body. Atium lets someone see slightly into the future of what a person will do, and it also expands their mind in order for them to process and react to this. When you are burning atium, nothing can surprise you. It makes you nearly invincible. Pretty much a Charlotte Katakuri from One Piece.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
You called it, Justin.
Did I? I thought it would just enhance your senses. I don't think I said anything about
Well,
seeing
it's actually
what's going to happen.
you were saying that the 11th metal would do this. Like,
Do what?
time travel. Like,
Did I?
something like that.
I don't think so. I remember some very stupid talk of time travel. I don't remember that, though.
Like one of you said something, I can't remember which metal it was, but that they would, I think it might have been the 11th metal. They use it, they wound up going back in time and killing the Lord Ruler then, and then winding up just building the final.
I remember all that nonsense, but that was all pretty stupid. That wasn't real.
Alright, so then suddenly Vin sees many different shadows of Kelsier, and he says that he began burn atium himself. This is what you see when both people burn atium, because you see all the shadows reacting to the shadows. Pretty much you'll have like one person going to stab the other, so then their future self would react to that stab, and then the other person's future self would react to their reaction to it, and it just builds up. So you just see a punch, and it just makes it then impossible for you to be able to actually use it. And that's the only way to beat someone burn atium is to burn it yourself. And then all those Kelsier shadows vanish because Vin's atium runs out. It is the fastest burning metal. And Kelsier says he will probably regret it, but he will bring Vin along with him tonight. This will be dangerous. Very dangerous. He plans to sneak into the Lord Ruler's palace because he thinks he knows where they might find a clue on how to defeat him. And that's the end of chapter 13. Anything else you guys want to go over with that chapter?
Just the part where Justin already brought up that Vin felt oddly comfortable with the prince guy.
His name's Elend, and he's a lord, not a prince.
I don't like the name Ellen. It sounds like a girl.
I don't like it. Let's change it. Let's just write in a different name every time.
I wrote Alan in my notes because I think Alan is
Alan. That's a terrible name.
So Sheta's becoming a modern Hollywood screenwriter adaptation person.
Yep, just change it for no reason.
I'm just going to change this.
I personally don't like it, so I'll just change it.
Asha in Song of Ice and Fire? No, we'll change her name to Yara.
Yeah, I like Yara for some reason.
I think their idea was that way people wouldn't confuse people with Asha and Osha. But, all right. Well, this
people
person
do
will
it
be
fine.
All right, we'll switch this person's name from Robert to Sweet Robin. We'll switch. There was a reason why they were all named the same. George specifically chose those because that was more realistic. Because a lot of people would name people after kings and stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else in chapter 13?
Not for me.
I'm good.
All right. Next, we're on to chapter 14, which typically comes after chapter 13. So, epigraph. Sometimes I wonder if I'm going mad. Perhaps it is due to the pressure of knowing that I must somehow bear the burden of an entire world. Perhaps it is caused by the death I have seen, the friends I have lost, the friends I have been forced to kill. Either way, I sometimes see shadows following me, dark creatures that I don't understand, not wish to understand. Are they, perhaps, some figment of my overtaxed mind?
What does that mean? The shadows. Is he gonna be like the first Mistborn, I wonder? Also, now I'm sure he's not a good guy.
Why?
He has had to kill his friends. He killed his friends.
Doesn't sound like he wanted to.
Then you shouldn't have to. You can put them in jail if they did something wrong. Justin?
Yeah?
Back me up.
Why?
I don't know. Or what do you think?
I don't have a theory. What are you asking, Sheta?
If he's a bad guy, and what are the shadows that he's beginning to see?
I already said my feelings on that in the last one.
Okay.
All right.
I think that as it goes on, it started out relatively innocuous, the things he was saying. But since we're creeping towards the end of a part, I think they want us to start to think the exact things you're thinking about. If this guy is the Lord Ruler, then what the hell kind of nightmare stuff happened to set up what we have now, And I think we've got a thing coming up soon that will elucidate that information a little bit, but I won't say what it is yet.
All right, so chapter begins. Kelsier and Vin head into Kredik Shaw. Kelsier says their target is a tunnel complex at the base of the one of the far right spires. There's a room in the very center of that complex that the Lord Ruler goes into once every 3 days for a few hours. Kelsier had tried to get into it once before, 3 years ago, during the job that got him captured. He and Mare had believed that the room stored in that room stored the Lord riches, but now Kelsier believes that it holds the secret to his powers and immortality. Last time, they had planned the job for months, but when they arrived, there were Inquisitors waiting outside the room for them. This time, Kelsier didn't plan anything before deciding to show up, so there's nobody to possibly betray them. As they approach Kredik Shaw, Vin feels a powerful depression go over her, as if just being close to the building was enough to suck away her hope. Kelsier says that it is the Lord Ruler. He radiates like an incredibly powerful soother, smothering the emotions of everyone close to him. Vin burns copper and the sensations away. After they are inside, they run into some guards and Kelsier begins killing them. A soldier turns towards Vin and she shoots coins at him without thinking, tearing through him. She pulls the bloody coins back to her and then sprays the room with them, dropping 3 more soldiers. Vin is stunned that she had just killed 4 men. Reen had always done the killing before. But Kelsier tells her that they were evil men. Every Ska knows in their heart that it is the greatest of crimes to take up arms in defense of the final empire. Vin nods numbly. She felt wrong. She could swear that she could still feel the Lord Ruler's power pushing on her emotions, even though she was burning copper.
That was a very dark part, I felt, because we saw how Kelsier feels about that in his own, thoughts earlier. But to have Vin have to face it so straight on and have him just calmly say that to her, I thought was really scary.
Well, do you agree with Kelsier?
No, I don't agree with you. See, I love characters who do this kind of violence and justify these kind of things, And I understand that when you're fighting a power like this, there are people who are going to die in the crosshairs, It's just going to happen, especially guards and stuff. But to say it like, fuck them, they deserved it. They're evil, really feels wrong to me and sad. I would be very surprised if the moral of this trilogy is that, yeah, you should kill all the Ska who guard the powerful people.
And
Especially what Vin said earlier about seeing that the nobles, how much power do they even have? The whole system is rigged and horrifying from the top. What were you going to say?
Well, Marsh also has called Kelsier out for that exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
About just killing the Ska.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the killing them, it's the glorifying in it.
Yeah, and now telling a young girl that that's okay too,
Yeah,
kind of
not just
teach her that.
okay, but it's good, These are
Yeah.
evil men. This is a good act,
hmm
I always think it's very sad in these systems when you've got all the regular people. What are they supposed to do? Rise up and get killed immediately, But that's the expectation a man like Kelsier has for everyone within the system, Because it just
Well,
doesn't make sense to him that anyone would be willing to live as a slave like this or would just want to get by another day
yeah,
or would
when the
even
system
take what
is
little profit they could.
when the system is that bad though,
Hmm.
something has to be done and it gets to that point.
It's true, but if you're a ska and all you've ever known is enslavement and basically no freedom, no power whatsoever, and you get the opportunity to get a job like this where you're going to be offered a few more opportunities and you're not going to be beaten or raped as much as everyone else is, you're not going to be destitute on the side of the streets, you'll at least probably get a meal at the very least. As much as it's easy to look down on that, and even I do, at the same time you think if it was me in that situation, would I take the opportunity to futilely try to attack the people above me just to be killed and everyone I care about killed? Or are you just going to say, all right, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get in this life, So that's why it's really sad and scary to me when a revolutionary like Kelsier is so unempathetic towards people like that when it's the system that's evil, not the people in it, even if you disagree with them. So I find him incredibly interesting for that aspect.
All right, and then Kelsier and Vin, they reach a large dome-shaped chamber, and inside was a smaller single-story building in the middle of the room. Kelsier goes to a wooden door in that building, which has writing on it that Vin doesn't recognize. Kelsier opens it. Inside, there was a Steel Inquisitor waiting for him. Kelsier immediately yells at Vin to run, but Vin freezes up, and then she notices that there are two more Inquisitors entering that large dome-shaped room.
Yeah,
The
that
first
was not fun to see. That was quite horrifying. I should have known because they took such care to show how horrifying a Steel Inquisitor is in that previous chapter when you saw the remains of the bar, that they weren't going to wait very long before we'd see more.
And then that first Steel Inquisitor grabs Kelsier by the throat and tells Vin that he has been looking for her. He tells her that he'll let Kelsier die quickly if she'll tell him which nobleman spawned her. Kelsier stabs the Inquisitor in the neck and then slams his fist into the Inquisitor's forearm, breaking it. And that releases Kelsier from his grip. And Kelsier again yells at Vin to run, and he takes his coin purse and pushes it at her. It hits her, and it keeps pushing her across the room past the other Inquisitors. And the Inquisitor, the knife in his neck, doesn't seem to mind the knife at all.
Yeah, not a good sign for your odds. Like Sheta said, I was starting to get pretty worried here.
Yeah, I'm like, he's dead. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be so shocking too if I was like, yeah, I don't know how he would get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Vin runs away, but she's chased by an Inquisitor. She tries to push coins at him at one point, but he pushes at them as well, and she flies away, much stronger. Vin goes into a room with a golden altar and some religious paraphernalia. Inquisitor enters, and from a bowl, he grabs a small of sharp triangles, which cause his hand to bleed. Vin hides behind an altar as he pushes those at her through the air. And then from right by her, Vin grabs a leather-bound book to use as a shield, and she burns ATM. She sees the triangles coming with the ATM, and she catches them on the cover of the book. After a motion on the Inquisitor's face, it also begins burning ATM. Vin runs into a hallway, and there's a squad of soldiers there, but she's easily able to evade their attacks, thanks to the ATM runs past them. Then she turns a corner and runs into another Inquisitor, also burned ATM, who hits her in her side with an obsidian axe. The first Inquisitor they had seen, and Vin worries that it means that Kelsier is dead. The Inquisitor once again asks who her father is. Vin's holding on to her side trying to stop the bleeding, and she can tell from how deep it is that it is a mortal wound, but she is surviving right now thanks to pewter. The second Inquisitor approaches and Vin believes that she's going to die. Then Vin is able to hear some rain, and she jumps through a nearby door. And then in this room, on the opposite side of the room, she sees another archway, and this one leads outside. She runs outside as the Inquisitor chases her. And once outside, she pulls herself up to aspire, but the Inquisitor follows. to another spur, and mid-jump she launches away the leather-bound book with the metal triangles. And then the Inquisitor, sensing the metal going over there, falls for the ruse and goes after that.
He does not make it easy to run away from these guys. Every time in a, less interesting story that I'd think, okay, she's good now. She's just got, oh, nope, he's still there. Like every time. And she's bleeding out at the same time.
Yeah, these were set up as elite, soldiers, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they're living up to. This is like when you go to a fight that, like, someone who's way higher level than you, and you're like, yeah, there's no way I can escape or beat them.
When they popped up, I'm like, as a reader, I'm like, well, I don't think Vin is going to be horribly killed right now, but I guess I don't know. I don't think she's going to be captured. So I'm trying to, I lost my train of thought. Well, that was an idea, but it's gone now. Sorry.
Yeah, so Vin, she rips off a piece of her shirt to try to bandage her wound, and she can't help but noticing how big the gash is. Vin hears something land on her spire, and she cries out as she jumps away. She jumps spire to spire, but hears the Inquisitor doing the same. Finally, Vin falls down due to her injury, and she lands on a roof. She crawls to a nook in the tower, and a dark form thumps on the rooftop. She starts to go unconscious as warm arms grip her. It wasn't Kelsier's face, but a different, kinder face. And that's the end of the chapter.
I did not have a theory on who that was going to be at the time.
I thought it was going to be the prince. I thought he was going to find her and nurse her back to health in his palace.
Why would he be at Krennic Shaw?
Well, they passed his house, so I thought he might have followed them. And was a secret misting or something. Mistborn.
All right. Anything else from this action-packed chapter you two want to go over?
I really liked the sense of hopeless depression that kind of is around the entire place. I thought that was such an interesting element for like a power the Lord Ruler has or whatever it is, if that's what it is.
Yeah, my theory now is
kind of what?
My theory now is that was my theory from before, where he is using Allomancy to keep everyone sedated in their minds. Like,
there's got to be some element to that, because I mean, when they get there, they're feeling that so much.
Yeah.
It just, if he can do that, or if something he has can do that, it makes me really think, what is his power? You
must have some kind of machines pumping out those into the environment, into the water.
Maybe. But was it this chapter or the next one? Yeah. Was it this chapter or the next one where they were talking about attempts to kill him?
That's next chapter.
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed those too. The same kind of thing really makes me think about the character. The thing is, when they were in that throne room, or that, however it was described, I was just like, what? No, I want to see more of this room. I'm so curious about it. So I thought it was funny that she could not sit there and look around and pay attention to stuff. She had to get out as soon as possible. I was like, this is the most interesting thing we've seen in here so far.
Yeah, golden altar and some stuff. And you're like, wait, what's the stuff? What do you mean, altar?
The second they're like, yeah, I know. Just all casual. Just she sees it as she's running through. But the second they're like, yep, room with a golden altar. She grabbed a book to block with it. That's all. It's not important other than that. I thought it was funny in trying to throw you off that this might be an important little thing she's picking up. But I didn't buy it for a second.
You're like, oh, that's a special book. I thought that too.
I like the attempt to give a very justifiable reason to grab it,
Yeah, and in a movie, grimoire. I could see the scene. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that it's the only thing with metal she has on her, so it is useful to have around for a bit. I just thought that was very funny.
It's a 5-leaf clover grimoire. She's going to get a devil.
Yeah, wow. Sounds good.
Just interesting note is that the axes that the Steel Inquisitors have are made of obsidian, so that way it can't be affected by allomancy.
Mm-hmm. The opposite of metal, right, Sheta?
Yes, actually. Non-metals. I thought they were He's been really creative with that actually, because obsidian is very sharp and hard. So
I really liked how these guys talk. It's right straight to the point. They seem very personalityless. And I
yeah,
love the
it's
tell us what we want to know and we'll kill him quickly or we'll allow him to die quickly. I had to do a double read on that because that's not usually what somebody says in that situation. They would lie and say, "We'll let him go." But they're being honest.
no, they're more like, we know you won't believe us if we say we'll let him go. So
Well, now we'll go and move on to last chapter we did today, chapter 15, starting with the epigraph. I don't know why Quan betrayed me. Even still, this event haunts my thoughts. He was the one who discovered me. He was the terrorist philosopher who first called me the hero of ages. Seems ironically surreal that now, after his long struggle to convince his colleagues, he is the only major terrorist holy man to preach against my reign. All right.
Starting to get the vibe he doesn't like people who
Harrison?
go against him that much. Terrorism, yeah, but people who speak out against him. I think it might go against the hope of unifying all people, which would be a nice utopia.
It's funny with these when you have your good friends or go against you. I feel like you might have done something wrong.
Like, bro, you're starting to make a nightmare, fascist theological dystopian nightmare.
yeah, you're
You've
kind of losing
betrayed
sight.
me.
Yeah, like you too. Like
Yeah.
I like it that he's such a self-victimizer, but I don't know why Quan betrayed me, but he
Well,
feels
we'll
all hurt
see.
about it.
Wouldn't it be interesting if we learn the context of all these and find that he is exactly correct to be saying these and he is being actually like betrayed by bad people? That
Yeah,
would be quite
that would be.
interesting.
Mhm.
Like, I still think the Lord Ruler may be the good guy in the end, or better than the worst thing. So we'll
I mean,
see.
our main characters are criminals.
Yeah, criminals because they're trying to save the society they're in.
Yeah, but they are also criminals. Like they work for money before.
Some of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well, who
still would
doesn't
not.
work for money, Sheta?
Huh?
Who doesn't work for money?
I mean, sorry, do crimes for money. Oh,
Yeah.
and they murder. They're murderers.
Well, that's the question.
And
Is it murder to kill guards in a building you broke into when you felt you needed to do it? You know, you got
exactly.
some interesting moral questions there.
And
Hmm.
on the other side, like Justin was saying, it's society that the Lord Ruler oversees and allows, which just allows people to simply just kill Ska or rape them just because they want
Mm-hmm.
to, and with no negative consequences to that.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the part that you can't square away or justify unless, as I said last week, either the Ska are not or he believes they're not real people. That would be the only way you could try to think that he would justify it. I don't know, maybe if the Ska feel too hopeful, then they all get allomancy powers or something, you know. Maybe that's what it was. Everyone had allomancy once and he had to cure the world of that. There's my new out of the nowhere, completely based on nothing theory.
So this chapter begins. Kelsier is back at Clubs' shop. Docs, Clubs, and Ham are there, along with some of Clubs' apprentices, who are patching up some of Kelsier's wounds. Docs is upset with Kelsier for taking Vin with them, and Kelsier snaps back at Docs.
This was an
Kelsier,
interesting way to reveal that Kelsier is not dead. To just jump to his chapter. It was quite surprising to me.
Kelsier says that there were 3 Inquisitors waiting for them. Docs then asks if he just left Vin there, and Kelsier says that she got out before he did. One of the Inquisitors had gone after her, and he couldn't stop it because the other 2 were keeping him busy. Kelsier says that either they made too much noise getting in, or the Inquisitors were already waiting there for them for some reason, and they still don't know what's inside that room. Ham asks, what of Vin? And Kelsier feels a sharp twisting pain in his chest as he thinks that he let her die. First Mare, and now Vin. Kelsier says that she might be hiding somewhere in the city, afraid to come to the shop because the Inquisitors are looking for her, or she might have gone back to Feliz. He tells everyone to split up and look for her. Before they're able to leave, Lestabornis runs into the room, saying that a big man in a robe is coming. Kelsier feels that it is over and an Inquisitor has found them. But then Sazed comes into the room carrying Vin.
But
Sazed
you have to
sets
say
her
it
on
like Mistborn is though.
I don't. What did he say?
Dang old thing that Kelsier just came over with him. Like that, Sheta.
Big old man outside.
Yeah, the old man outside getting up for a game camp.
Someone's coming out of the night with the calling. Big man, robe.
Someone coming out night out of calm, big old man, dang old robe, man.
Oh, Sazed sets Vin down on a table and says that she is badly wounded and asks Ham for some pewter. Kelsier looks at Vin and thinks that she is just so small and barely more than a child. How could he have taken her?
I'm glad to see
Sazed-
Kelsier feeling bad about it. I thought he wouldn't feel bad about anything, but because he feels bad, then he's not a bad person.
And Sazed sets down a book that he had been carrying and he gives Vin some pewter, which he instinctually begins burning. The wound is deep and worse than any cut Kelsier had ever survived. Sazed begins working on her. Religious rites were not the only things that keep her stored in their uncanny memories. Their metal minds contain vast wealths of information on culture, philosophy, and science.
They're what?
Metal minds. Metal mind. Not mine.
Can you spell it? Is it METAL?
Yes. And MINDS.
Just the words.
I was like,
I know saying something over a mic, it could sound like metal mine, like MINE.
Mm-hmm. Or some made-up word. A metal line.
Alright, so then after Sazed finishes stitching Vin's insides back together, he has Ham carry her up to her room. And Sazed tells Kelsier that he doesn't know if she will live or not. He had seen many strong men die from smaller wounds. Sazed explains that when he saw she was gone from Lord Renew's mansion, he came to Luthadel as quickly as he could. He used up an entire metal mine to make the trip with haste. And Sazed fingers the leather-bound book and says that it is written in Kaleni, the language of the Kalenium, the ancient pre-ascension land of the Lord Ruler. Kelsier asks if he can translate it, and Sazed says perhaps, but not for a time. After tonight, he shall need to rest. After Sazed leaves...
You're telling me that this random book that she just picked up may be plot important?
Make it easy.
It's only a 1,000-year book. But I always have to just suspend my disbelief that it's just able to survive 1,000 years.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what it's made out of, or what kind of magics are involved.
It's a leather book. Leather cover.
How long can leather last?
I had to look
Depends
up to
on
see
how
what
it's
some.
kept. If it's well
I had to look
oiled
up.
or...
Well, it's not the leather that would be worrying; it'd be the pages on the inside. But either way, it's a magical world. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking it up, and if the environmental conditions are left right in a cool, dry environment with regular care and maintenance and infrequent usage, it could last decades to centuries. We don't really know, because that's almost never happened. But if you really, really took care of it, you could keep it intact for quite a long time, because it's just the moisture and heat usually that, or the moisture specifically, that really ruins paper.
We have a character that's probably hundreds of years old, and you're worried about how a book is kept alive.
Well, it just goes to show how important this book must be, too, if they have done whatever is necessary to keep it intact and okay.
All right, so after Sazed leaves, Dox tells Kelsier that this was stupid, even for him. Kelsier says that he had to know if the ATM was really in that room or not. Dox says that's no excuse, and now Vin is dying. Doc says that's no excuse, and now both Vin is dying and the Lord Ruler is alerted to them. Wasn't it enough getting Mare killed trying to get into that room? Kelsier says that he's worried. Their plan is a good plan, but he has a terrible haunting feeling that they'll never succeed if the Lord Rulers arrive. They can take his money, armies, and cities, but they won't be able to stop him. Kelsier had spent the last 2 years searching for a way to kill him. Men have tried everything. He ignores normal wounds, and decapitation only annoys him. Once, soldiers burned down an inn he was in, and he walked out barely more than a skeleton and healed in seconds. Only the stories of the 11th metal offered any hope, but Kelsier can't make it work. The Lord Ruler is hiding something in that room. Kelsier can feel it. Kelsier feels that if they knew what was in that room, then they can stop him.
They really want me curious about what's in there.
This one says that he has used the 11th metal, but can't seem to make it do anything.
Yeah.
And, one thing, I can't remember if or not. He knows that it is a metal because if you wind up eating a metal that's not an elementic metal, it doesn't give you like a pool of stuff to burn inside you. You just want. So then Doc says that he didn't have to take Vin with him, and Kelsier says that she followed him. He was worried that if he didn't take her, then she would have just gone in on her own. Doc nods, points out they still don't know what's in that room. Kelsier looks at the book, says that it brought, and thinks that at least they do have that. Doc asks if it was worth it, and Kelsier says to ask him once they know if Vin will live or not. And that's the end of the chapter, and the end of part 2 of the book.
Did I already ask how many parts there are? Or do I not get to know?
I don't want to know how many parts there are.
Okay, don't tell me.
Well, Justin, I thought you already knew because it does say it in the table of contents at the front.
I didn't look at that.
And I can't remember if I told you or not because you asked before.
Oh, I don't remember, so that's good.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No.
Just how much I liked those descriptions. Oh, you go first, Sheta.
Oh, when Kelsier says that they have metal minds, does he mean it's made of metal or just strong?
Sazed said that.
Sazed says it?
I know what those are. Yeah, Sazed said his metal minds. He said that Kelsier says the keepers, their metal minds contain vast wealths of information on culture, philosophy, and science. Mm-hmm. And then Sazed later says that he used the entire metal in order to make the trip to Luthadel with haste.
What does that mean? Do we know? Have we learned about that yet?
We don't know yet. They've talked about keepers and stuff like that, but they haven't given. They're just trickling the details to us.
Yeah, these are the first instances of the word metal mind in the book.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because I was impressed with his ability to remember all this stuff. I should have known there was some supernatural element to it, likely.
Super or science fiction.
Science fantasy, I think, is what I'd call what he's writing. Yeah.
Sounds like he has a robot brain. That's what it sounds like.
But yeah, I really enjoyed them talking about the stories of the Lord Ruler's survivals of death, especially that skeleton just repairing itself part. I'm really looking forward to meeting this guy.
I imagine that scene done in like old-timey claymation style.
Stop motion skeleton coming out and then rebuilding itself.
Like with like flesh melting with the little droplets. It was really good.
On a not related note, Joe, I just checked that the oldest surviving bound book comes from around 330 to 360 AD, and it's an old Christian Bible manuscript called the Codex Sinaiticus, and you can page through it, but they would not let you, and you'd need to be very careful. So there's what we have in our world for that question. I know you were very much wondering about that.
You can't pick it up and use it to shield yourself?
I actually looked that up a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I see.
Knowing about the journal, just trying to see what the oldest surviving books are.
Well, Sheta, I looked at pictures of it, and it looks like you could shield yourself with it, but it would be a crime against history to do that. Like, it is very well protected and well taken care of,
I should do it. Like, try to chuck some ninja stars at me, and I'll use this book to shield me.
I'm sure I wonder if that
Mistborn.
I wonder if that guard guy is going to be executed for that.
Man, more and more, I feel like.
By that guard guy, do you mean that's train?
Oh, okay. Iron Eye guy. I forgot what they're called.
Inquisitor.
Yeah, there you go. Steel Inquisitor. That was it. So I love the idea of imagining an artifact that valuable and that old being used as a shield for some frickin' caltrops somebody threw at you.
All right. If you have nothing else to say about this chapter, we can move to the next segment we always do with all the...
I've got one thing. This chapter is interesting because, when you put the characters in this real danger, that's when I start to see, what do I even think about these? Do I care if they live or die, And I found myself thinking, I would prefer that they don't both get killed here, and that they were not removed from the story either. So that's a good place to end the second part on because it'll invest you all to keep reading. Because you're like, I kind of like these people.
Yeah, not like modern movies where I'm like, I could care less if these characters live or die.
End of the second act, you're like, I wish they'd die so the movie would be over.
Oh God. Yep. So overall, is the book going the direction you thought it'd be going?
Well, I didn't think it would be a heist, so no.
Yeah, same. But yeah, I didn't think it would be a heist or like a we got to get the gang back together for this last job kind of thing. Also, didn't expect a lot of the spy and balls and things like that. Like it's always a thing.
Oh, that's classic heist stuff, though.
Yeah, infiltrating, having to dress up and go into a ball.
Get the tough girl to have to dress up all girly and beautiful.
Yeah, like, wow, you look so different in makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the guy will start looking at her differently.
No.
Seeing her in a different light.
No, this isn't She's All That.
Oh, it's in the middle of the heist. Like, wow, you clean up really nice, actually.
I don't know what heist movies you're watching. Usually it's an Old Flame or something like that, so they already know that.
Yeah, it's that too. But sometimes the main guy's so into the job that he's not taking the time to really look.
Sheeta, I feel like this is just a heist movie you're writing in your head right now that you're describing. Not like the standard tropes of a heist.
I guess I can't really think of one off the top of my head, so I'll come
Yeah,
back next week and see which one.
Okay.
You're just gonna watch all the like Ocean's 11 and all those movies just to come back.
No, she's gonna pull a Brandon Sanderson and come back next week saying, I have one. I wrote it in the previous week.
Well, it can be any movie, like Mission Impossible's, James Bond's, anyone where.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know it can be.
Okay. All right, I'll try to find one then.
All right, so we'll just go into. I think we already know your answer, but I'll just ask it. So, all these epigraphs, who's writing them?
No, it's got to be Lord Ruler. I'd be very surprised if it's not.
Yeah, I'm starting to think it's not Kelsier from the past that he is forgotten. Yeah, so most likely it's the Lord Ruler.
Lord Ruler or whoever's like really behind the figurehead Lord Ruler. One of the two.
Like the actual king.
Like if the Lord Ruler is just like a homunculus and that's why he can't be killed or something like that.
All right. Story, will Vin's father ever realize that who she is and that she's
That
his
would
daughter?
be one of the worst Chekhov's guns I've ever seen if they didn't have that happen.
Well, I could also
Chekhov's
see
father.
I could also see them pointing it out and having him not be that important because that kind of stuff doesn't really matter in.
But if they were going to
this
do
world.
that, they would have written it where she has a little conversation about it while looking at it and be like, "It's interesting. I always wondered about my father, but now I see you're my true father, Kelsier." It'd be a scene like that, you know.
Ew.
Only
I don't like that.
you because you're shipping them. I see them far more as a father-daughter relationship.
I mean, I
or
don't
at
mind
least a
those
brother-sister
either. It's such
relationship.
the same. Ew, Justin.
What the heck?
I think that the dad. Yeah, I think he will turn out to be someone different. My worst fear is that he will turn out to be also Kelsier's dad. That would be.
That doesn't make any
worst.
sense.
I don't remember what we learned about his father, but
He would have to be
Kelsier's-
pretty old, right?
Kelsier's dad was a nobleman who took a Ska woman as his mistress, but didn't realize that she was Ska. And once he found out, he had her killed.
oh, I see. Great guy.
Well, you know how those nobles are.
Is Kelsier's brother like same father, right? Same mother?
Yeah. Yep, they both had
Wow.
the same mother and father. Like she was his
Two?
mistress that
That's
she
awful.
was living and stuff because he thought that she was some lower noble, and she finds out that she's a Ska, so at that point she has to die.
That's awful. I hope that her dad ends up being a big major character and is part of the story. That would be interesting.
Well, I think he'll at least be a character, you know.
Well, he already is a character.
Yeah, more than a glorified background character.
I think he's going to be dangerous, just from the way they were treating him, and then also how smart and capable Vin is. I think he's going to be quite a
I think
dangerous
that'd
threat.
be interesting too.
If he is after her too, because she will, get him in trouble, that would be very scary.
Yeah.
I believe that is just her father. That's not Reen's father, because she said Reen was her stepbrother
Oh, interesting.
or half brother.
I see. So the brother wouldn't be as much of a liability as Vin is.
All right. So you only met him for a little, but how are things going to go with Elend?
I think he's going to be dangerous, actually.
How so?
I think she's going to feel like he's somebody that she can talk to because he's got a nice air about him. But I think he's going to turn out to be the reason he doesn't like his family is because their ambition isn't enough for him or something. I think he's going to be dangerous and scary, personally.
Ooh, you think he's gonna be
And
bad
a
for
little
her?
more smart and cunning, you know.
Yeah, if he ends up being her weak spot, then that's sad. I don't want that. I want him to fall in love with Vin and want to help her take the Lord Ruler down.
You see, having a good guy nobleman on the team would be interesting because Kelsier would not like them at all, you know.
Yeah, and not trust him. That's the ultimate, like, I don't like your boyfriend
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and I don't trust him. Oh, that would be a fun dynamic. Yeah, so I hope he's a good guy, and I hope that they really just, like, really hit it off.
All right. Now, she had one thing where she was thinking about Lord Renew. He said he met Ellen 4 years ago. Finn finds it odd because there's no way he'd been imitating Lord Renew for 4 years. So, what's going on with Lord Renew?
Yeah, that one was weird to me. I have no theory for it. It really stood out to me, though.
He's creepy to me. Just someone who's really good at the job and nothing else. Like, not really, unlike the other guys, he doesn't have a personality. Just like,
But
I don't know.
Could it be that Kelsier was lying about killing Lord Renew and that just is Lord Renew? Or is there something that contradicts that?
That could be true.
Well, there was stuff where he mentioned that they didn't want to have Lord Renew go to the balls because a Steel Inquisitor would be able to spot him very quickly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Never mind.
Okay. Unless they brainwashed him somehow.
Yeah,
Or
that's true.
use Allomancy to, like, control him. Maybe that's what the 11th metal does. Lets you control them. Or change their mind so hard where you, like, take their mind apart and change them into a different person.
Yeah, but Kelsier can't get the 11th metal to work.
Maybe. And then, yeah, I don't have any idea what it would be.
Yeah, but after seeing ATM, we've seen 9. Because we have not seen what the 9th metal is yet.
Oh, there's your mind control medal, Sheta.
We've seen the first 8. We've seen ATM. We know the 11th metal exists, but we have not seen what the 9th metal is. And I will let you know. Yeah, because ATM is the only one that we've seen that's a fictional. So if you're looking at it, if you're curious about what it is, like what its actual periodic table stuff is, don't look it up.
Yes, because I do often just look up the periodic table of metals when I read these.
Yeah, what are the properties of ATM? Like,
what does ATM use to build?
Like, is it more like a tin or more like lead? What color is it?
Silver.
Silver?
There's a small silvery ball of metal.
Okay.
All right, so then you have the Lord Ruler's, mansion. And you have that small room he goes into once every 3 days for a few hours. What's in that room? Why does he go in there?
I think that's where he goes in to commune to stop the deepness from overtaking the world. And if he doesn't do it, it will overtake everything by using some kind of power we don't know with the metals the place is built out of. The entire area is built out of a metal that goes into the earth and something. Something.
Wow. I just imagined the little device that Darth Vader goes into to take off his helmet and something
That's
like
a good
that.
one too, because that would mean that's a moment of vulnerability for him.
Mm-hmm. So I think he's actually like something like a shriveled up thing, barely human.
But he like recharges in there.
Yep, recharges like by eating babies or something awful like that.
Not something to do with metal, eating babies.
It's gotta be very pure metal, like I don't know, pure organic metals in bodies. So I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to go on that route. Like I don't want to think about it.
You're the one that brought it up.
I know. I just thought of the most evil thing you could do. I didn't want to think about it.
Eating a baby is up there.
Yeah, to recharge and live forever, like so you can continue your evil.
Yeah. Is it more evil to eat a baby so you can live forever, or just for no reason, Sheta?
I mean, it's selfish, because you're taking their life force so you can live.
So you're saying selfishness is more evil than just straight psychopathy?
Yeah, there's something about being a psycho that is free, you know?
I actually
like you're
agree
doing
with
it.
you, Sheta. I think that's a good, correct answer.
The intent is much, it makes it more evil, you know? The intention.
Does it matter which is more evil?
That is also a good answer to that question.
In this context, it is. Like,
we
See, this is how Bree feels about these moral debates. Not why they're not worth having. Like, dude, who cares? Come on.
All right. So why were the Inquisitors there waiting for them? How did they know they were coming?
I almost feel like something happened to Kelsier to link him to the Lord Ruler, and he can somehow like read his mind or in his intentions. He knew that Kelsier was coming.
I think they have some sense that we don't know about, that nobody knows about, that allows them to, you know, when people see the metals they're using and the paths where they can already see that stuff, or where they permanently have everything, including the new one we just learned, where they can kind of see the future a little bit. Yeah, that's my theory. They always have all the metal powers. And so they're able to pretty much see what anyone's doing as long as they get within range of them. So if somebody's headed towards the temple, they'd see it pretty quickly if they're stationed there. That's my idea.
Yeah, I could see them making some kind of detecting devices to like an alarm, but for metal, for powers and stuff like that. I could see that. If this is a very secret spot, or you know, they definitely would have something in place.
It could also be that there's just always a guy stationed there at all times.
Yeah. Or it kind of implied that the one that was kind of tracing Vin, maybe he might have just traced her there.
Yeah, I think they have some way to trace him that we don't know about yet. We don't know the strengths or limits on it.
It's just like the Harry Potter spell. Underage wizards can't use magic except for when they can, and it doesn't matter.
If it was that powerful, though, they would have been caught by now.
Yeah.
All right. What is Sazed's stuff that's going on when he's talking about metal mines and they stuff?
What do you mean?
Wanted to make his trip. What?
He's just got a metal mind.
Like a literal mind made of metal?
It's a mind made of metal.
But he said he used one.
Oh, well, that throws that out the window.
Maybe he just means his smartphone. Like,
no, God, no.
Like,
I would assume that
the
metal we don't know about does something, or maybe, yeah, I lost it. I don't know. I don't know enough to say.
Whatever the terracemen are, or the race that he is, they have like a little computer port in their head.
Like the Matrix?
Yes, something like that. They're half cyborg. But then I thought that it was interesting because they specifically said the arms that saved Vin were warm. So they are organic.
They're not robots, Sheta.
Well,
There
She's
is
a
no
cyborg.
evidence of that. There's no evidence of robots or cyborgs.
just think the metal mines is specifically like
Well, they could have
as like
metal that,
robot.
the other people ingested into their stomach. Maybe they can absorb it into their mind and do something with that.
Well, Kelsier talked about it like it was a memory bank because they had remembered all these religions and bits of knowledge from the past and stuff, like a memory bank.
They've got some ability to hold information, I think, that's for sure.
They have like a 1 terabyte memory. Like,
Stop trying to turn Sazed into a robot. He's not data.
I want him to be. Ooh, now that's who I'm gonna cast, Justin.
That's not very good casting.
No, Sazed has emotion, so it'd be what was Data's brother again?
Lore, I think. Was that
Yeah.
it, Sheta?
Yeah.
Lore is it? Yeah, but Lore is a psycho. He's like he has a very specific personality, which is like
Again, there is no evidence
chaotic.
to believe Sazed is a robot or has any, or that technology even exists in this world in the way you're saying. It seems like kind of a Victorian world, like not like that.
Yeah, and what do you think steampunk is, Justin?
It's not robot computers, that's for sure.
Well, I don't think it's that far of a leap because we have people with grooves in their eyes. That's pretty steampunk
Yes,
to
that's
me.
very highly technological. No, steampunk is just everything's powered by steam instead of electricity. It's like the exact
Yeah,
opposite
and-
of what you're talking about. Also,
Yes,
there's
and
no
in
evidence
here-
of that. This is a myth
in-
punk world, Sheta.
In here, it's metals, so he's just making up
Yes.
his own steam.
Sheta, I'm noticing how much of these podcasts is just me arguing with you about theories that have no merit that you keep building up evidence for.
The evidence is there.
Evidence that I haven't heard about until you say it for the first time.
They say metal mind, and they say that he has a big memory bank.
I am going to eat my words when he pulls off his face and it's just like a robot underneath.
Yes.
Okay. Any other theories or predictions you guys want to throw out there about anything?
Yeah, I've got my batshit based on almost nothing theory now. When she was looking at the painting and saw that the deepness was a formless thing, My new theory is that the mists are the remnants of that, and they did not exist before, and that's why everything is kind of half dead.
Ooh.
So that the true threat is around them at all times, but they don't even know it. That's my theory based on virtually nothing. And that the what were they? Those fucked up things that absorbed random dead bodies and stuff.
Mistwraith.
That those are Mistwraiths. That those are kind of like a leftover form of it because it didn't have a form and it takes form from other things. So those two are based on very little, but I think it would be cool theories.
That's cool. See how I support your theories?
Mine's based on at least. I'm not making any huge leap.
But it's cool. I like that.
There was a formless deepness. There was a mist. That's the basis for my theory.
So
I don't know where you got robots. What's that, Sheta?
I am using the context clues, Justin.
Okay.
So with your theory, I wonder what it means to be a Mistborn then. Do you have a little bit of the deep in you?
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then, if the Lord Ruler defeated him, supposedly, then why does he have powers?
Well, I don't think that the metal powers come from the deepness. I think it's because it's like a racial thing that's passed on, right? So I think it's something because he talks about the terracemen back then. So I assume people were more different back then, and now we kind of don't remember all the things because it was so long ago. Maybe there's some powers we don't know about, stuff like that.
Okay.
Because the Ska and the nobles, the terrace, the keepers or whatever, like there's more different types of people. And I know from Elantris, if it's anything like that, Brandon Sanderson seems to be interested in ancestral power because the Atlanteans had that and stuff.
Yep.
Well, the Elantrians' power were random because it was just people randomly chosen to become Elantrian. And here,
but it was only within a certain group of people who would be chosen for that. That's what I mean. like people from other
geography
places
based.
weren't. Yeah.
Yeah, and here it is. Yeah, it is lineage because
Mhm.
only people with noble blood are able to become Misting or Mist.
Mhm.
People who are pure Ska cannot. All right. So we'll just go on to. If you guys have nothing else to add, then we'll go on to the characters and quotes of the week.
I really liked it in these chapters. She's really. I thought she was really cute at the ball.
I feel like we kind of got to know her for the first time in these chapters because she's really coming out of her shell.
Mm-hmm. Is that your favorite too?
No, I was just adding on to what you were saying.
Oh, who's your favorite then?
Well, anything more about Vin, Sheta?
Well, I'm gonna say more when I say the quote that I like.
Oh, I see. Well, my favorite in these chapters was Lord Ruler, just from the stories about him. Both the immortality things and the creepy ass hopelessness despair field. His weird throne, his weird room, everything about him. I was just very, very, very interested in him in these chapters. And I felt like we got to see him because of how those stories about him were described.
Yep, and I'm gonna go with same as Sheta. I'm gonna go with Vin. I just really liked her in these chapters, especially breaking in, her first fights and all that, and plus her at the ball, just paying attention to everybody, trying to watch it all. And you get a lot of stuff into her mind, try and wonder about the deepness of everything. Just overall enjoyed her. All right. So
Yeah,
then we'll
seeing
go
her
with,
think more about the plot and the story and the world stuff is really interesting because she would avoid having any thoughts like that before becoming too involved in anything around her.
That's true that she was so into the window stuff, the window thing. The stained glass windows.
Like I said, she's almost like a whole different character at this point because she's less of what she grew up as,
Yeah, really becoming into being interested in what she would be and having time to have thoughts like that instead of dedicating all her energy to like surviving and being a criminal.
oh, yeah, go ahead, quotes.
Okay. Well, I think Brandon Sanderson does a really good job of describing this part. So it's when Vin is going into the ball and she's really, really nervous, like just so nervous to get in front of people. She doesn't like people. She's always tried to hide her whole life. And she goes, "Oh, hide, like nobody look at me," like being all scared, like she wants to find a corner or somewhere dark to hide right away, and it's all cute. And then she glanced apprehensively to the side. Several women were looking at her, and yet it didn't feel like they were seeing her at all. They were studying the gown, the hair, and the jewelry. Vin glanced to the other side where a group of younger men were watching her. They saw the neckline, the pretty dress, and the makeup, but they didn't see her. None of them could see Vin. They could only see the face she had put on, the face she wanted them to see. They saw Lady Valette. It was as if Vin wasn't there. It was as if she was hiding right in front of their eyes. And suddenly her tension began to retreat. She let out a long, calming breath, anxiety floating away, and Satan's training returned. So I just thought it was really good. Describing that feeling is so specific. Like, I feel like Brandon Sanderson, like, were you a young girl in your past life trying to make it in the world? Like, trying to, like, go to prom or something, Like, this is actually exactly how it feels to cosplay. So you're like, no, I'm wearing something really silly and I'm going out into public and stuff. People are gonna be like, I don't know, judging you and thinking you're all weird for wearing something ridiculous. But then they don't really see you, they just see the character, so it's just fine, So that's exactly how it feels. And if anyone out there wants to cosplay, you should totally do it because the feeling is as liberating as it is in the book.
I agree with you that part was well written. It really captured the experience she was having there in a way that you understand. And it is a very, very specific thing that was described. I think, a lot of writers wouldn't even think of that, but I also took note of that part.
Yeah, I like the hiding in plain sight part. I was like, this is how she's going to be a great spy going forward because she's always learned how to hide really well and really excel No, she's gonna just be a great spy.
Except with that noble guy who she was a horrible spy around.
Oh yeah, and then all her defenses came down at that. That's a shame on Vin, just because the cute guy's talking to you.
I don't think it said cute. His
Handsome
clothes didn't
man.
fit. His clothes didn't fit, and his hair was disheveled.
Joe, you
Sounded
just
good to me.
described like the cutest guy possible. Compared to
To
all
be-
the buttoned
yeah.
up people, you have one like, look how like anime characters wear suits and like art people do.
Yeah,
That's exactly
the
how
cool
they
guys
always
untuck their button up, and then they
are.
have
Little
like messy
untucked,
hair.
little not like how real people look when they do that, but how hyper
Yes,
stylish people do.
stylishly. If he's rich and he's doing that too,
Yeah,
that's gonna be like
exactly.
so good.
That's how I read it as well, Sheta.
Yeah,
I didn't
I was like,
imagine some overweight, slovenly, like gross guy.
I imagine he's a cool guy. He's a punk. He's like Billy Idol.
I wouldn't go that far, but I know what
Like-
you're saying. Sheta.
What are you doing
Maybe
here,
like-
love? Yeah, he's a rebel. He's not even at the party and stuff.
Get in there, that does not give me Billy Idol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
wouldn't
he's a
go as
nerd.
far as Billy Idol, Sheta, but I
So
get
he's
what you're
nerdy
saying.
and he's like Billy Idol. That's like perfect type.
Again, you're just making up stuff as if it was in the book. Yes,
Also,
my favorite quote was,
you're
"He
rebelling
turned
to
with
that-
the smoldering eyes of Billy Idol." That was my favorite quote.
Yeah,
Yelling
I
like,
that
oh,
part
more,
too.
more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I want to say skipping the party and going off to read a book is rebellious to this group. So
It is. Less so when you realize it's his own family's party, though.
When I was younger, I could not just go party and just read a book. But then again, I had done similar stuff when I would be like a kid and I get taken by my parents to go to some grad party of people that they're friends with, but I have no idea who anybody is there.
Mhm.
So it's like, I'm some fifth grader. I don't know anybody. So yeah, I did bring a book and read there.
Yeah, I imagine it's more like that. It's not like it's a freaking concert, It's pretty quiet,
Yeah,
I
but-
assume.
But if I'm in like, if I'm in like high school or something and I'm going to some party, but he did,
Right.
but he did say that he'd been going to those like almost every day. So
Yeah.
easy to get bored.
My quote is from the same part, but a little later. It's when she's looking at all the people and how fancy they are. Distinguished. Were these the same creatures that beat her friends and enslaved the Ska? They seemed too perfect, too well-mannered for such horrible acts. I wonder if they take any notice of the outside world, she thought, crossing her arms on the table as she watched the dancing. Perhaps they can't see behind their keeps and their balls, like they can't see past my dress and makeup. Because it's both criticism of them and empathizing at the same time. She's just looking around at these people and thinking about them. And it makes you wonder people like that who live in such nightmare societies, but they're all insulated in these nice little rich people areas, How much do they even know about the real world and about their actions on other people? It's always an interesting question to ask. And when you ask that, then you wonder, are they evil? Are they any more evil than anyone? Is that evil to live that way when you don't know another? Is it not, So I think it's quite interesting.
like Hunger Games too. And you're like
Mm-hmm.
the capital people. He starts empathizing with them too.
Mm-hmm. Some of the
And
capital people, they don't know another way, and you're just brought up in this system. It just makes sense,
And
Don't
it makes
think
you
of the
start
people
to
beneath you as people, It makes you start to what?
question your own life. You're like, there's people in other countries that would think of us the same way.
Yep,
Because we live in a
exactly.
first world country. And
I always think
we have so
whatever,
much,
and we get stuff from them, that's the big thing.
Yep. Even
Mhm.
worse.
Either they make stuff for us or we use their land, like their areas near where they live for our stuff. And it's always interesting because no matter what ring you are up on the totem pole, there is somebody beneath you, likely, who looks to you with the same hatred Kelsier looks to the nobles. Now, it's obviously a lot more simple to reason it out when they're beating and killing and raping slaves, That makes it really clean cut, but it is still an interesting question to think about, and I'm glad that our main character is wondering these things.
All right. Then my quote will be later with Kelsier and Vin, talking on the roof. All right. So, Kelsier, she's serious tone. We're planning to overthrow the final empire. I don't really expect to live until the end of the year anyway. You keep telling the others what an advantage it is to have two Mistborn. Well, it's not going to be much of an advantage unless you actually let me be a Mistborn. How long are you going to wait? Until I'm ready? I don't think that will ever happen. Kelsier for a moment, then smiled. When we first met, half the time I couldn't get you to say a word. Now you're lecturing me. Just a short little thing that, some growth that Vin's had, where she first
that goes in.
First she actually wants to help. She wants to be able to be part of the team, do more than just going to balls, go in there and, Mistborn. Secondly, it shows her actually, talking back to Kelsier and everything instead of just meekly sitting there watching.
Yeah, it goes into how much she's changed just from the beginning of the book to now.
Also, it's kind of scary that she thinks she's gonna die. Like,
yeah.
Well, when you're facing God, that's a very real possibility.
She's so young, though, just to be like, yeah, whatever, I'll just see this thing through. Like, probably won't survive. Like, it's just a really interesting, viewpoint. That makes me worried because I'm like, if you think you're gonna, if she thinks she's gonna die, she's either gonna jump into relationships or not even think about that.
Oh, God, everything goes back to that, huh, Sheta?
That's just what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Like, as a full character, especially as a young woman like that,
No, I do hear you, Sheta.
Yeah.
All right, so Sheta, you've been talking about how you think that she'll have a thing with Lestabornis and Elend and Kelsier. What about Sazed? They're spending a lot of time together.
I did not want to bring it up because I don't want you to yell at me, but I
thought you
have
said
that in my
Sazed
notes
before.
Too. Yeah, I did, but yeah, this is my idea. I think everyone's going to fall in love with Vin, either romantically or just very super fond of her and loves her and stuff like that.
That tends to happen with a group like that in stories, and you've got like one really nice girl character who everyone comes around, like Mina or something.
That's exactly what I wrote in my notes, Justin. Yeah. They all grow to love her. Yeah, exactly. And then I said that I wrote that especially like in a game like this, and I was like, I bet Kelsier's wife, his ex, was like that because his brother Marsh also said something weird about like missing her too, So I bet that was the other girl. And now Vin is becoming that girl. Sazed is also very old. I don't think that since he's a robot, I don't think that he's capable of loving that.
Oh my God, Sheta.
Since he's a robot.
Yes, before I thought maybe he might like her, but now I'm like, well, no, there's no chance.
So robots can't fall in love?
They don't love like we do. They can care and be very fond of humans, but they can't have romantic love.
So when you play Mass Effect, you try to keep Edie and Joker away from each other?
Yes.
No, you didn't. Because
I didn't like that Joker refused me, but wants a robot.
Joker didn't refuse you. He refused his sister. Did. Don't lie, Sheta.
Same thing.
You were a Garrus. You never went with anyone else.
I never told you, but I kind of flirted with Joker a little bit, and he didn't like it. Okay? He was like, "Whoa, Captain, are you serious?" I was like, "No, I was just wondering because you're played by Seth Green, and I like you." So it was embarrassing.
And then you reloaded it, so it never canonly happened, right?
Yes. So it can never happen. And so I think at that scene that like you're drinking a little bit too. So I'm just gonna write it that she got a little drunk and accidentally said things.
This is a random tangent, but playing as the girl in Mass Effect 3 just fucking sucks. You're turned down by Joker, cheated on by Jacob, turned down by James. Like, you're just turned down by everybody.
Yes. It's awful. A lot of
Caden's all
reloads for
mad at
me.
you if you hooked up with somebody after he dumped you. Like, it's all terrible.
Yeah.
See, that's why you need to be like me. I was just Liara.
Yeah, nice and simple. It's playing as the girl specifically. As the guy, you've got plenty of options in that game, depending on who you were with the older games. I don't know why they screwed over straight femship in that game. It just seems mean.
Yeah.
The Jacob one's the worst. You don't even get an option.
Oh, God.
No matter what, he's already like in like the 1 year in between the games.
Yeah, already made that shiny arm bitch pregnant.
That really pissed me off too.
That didn't
Alright.
happen to you.
All that flirting, and he's just gonna go do that. I don't.
You never flirted with James, did you?
Oh.
Or with Jacob?
Jacob. The way Shepard talks to Jacob is you can't stop it. Like she's giving him the look like every time, and I'm like, stop! You already have a boyfriend. You can't stop it. You have to check out Jacob.
All right, so we'll go on to chapters for next week. So next week, 16, 17, 18, as we begin part 3 of the book.
Ooh, so exciting.
All right. Yep, so once again, chapters 16, 17, 18. All right, so we'll end everything off by going to the plugs. So go ahead and plug what you want.
I plug myself on various social medias at Profanity Beaver. Comics, art. You will enjoy it. It'll be your favorite comics and art of all time. So much so that you'll want to go pledge money towards it on the at Profanity Beaver Patreon. I guarantee it. No money back guarantee.
That's a really good plug, Justin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The plug that turned 1,000 ships, Sheta.
Oh, you got my vote.
Helen of
Helen of plugs, that's right.
Ew, that sounds like a adult video, Jeremiah. That.
All right, Cheetah,
Yep.
Can you one up Justin's?
No, I can't, but I'll try. Same for me. For my art, it's at Sheta_low for art and crafts. And then for fashion and cosplay, it's my mermaid_machete Instagram.
You keep putting an underscore in there. There's no underscore.
Really?
Yeah.
That one's just mermaid machete.
Okay.
You keep doing that every week. You're gonna send
Dang
people to
it.
this other mermaid
Okay.
machete.
Well, the underscore machete, that's my gamer tag. That's why. Well, if you want to play with me on PlayStation and Xbox, then do the underscore.
All right, and then nothing personal for mine, but if you want to go to the show stuff, we have a Twitter. Not much interesting put on there besides letting you know when I've released a new episode. And that will be at Twitter, or the current name, Key, an ancient letter. That'll be at Cosmerechron, COSMERECHRON. There is a YouTube. I say it every week. If you want to leave comments on single videos, go to the YouTube and do that. Because if you like this episode and you have your insights into the relationship mechanics of Mass Effect 3, go ahead and tell us what you feel about them.
Boy, I have a lot to say on that topic. That could be a whole podcast to itself.
It really could, actually. Yes. Let us know if you want to hear that podcast.
The Mass Effect Relationship Mechanics podcast.
Yeah.
Just do a bonus episode.
Oh, God. I don't think anyone could bear to listen to me complain about that for an hour.
Justin has played Mass Effect how many times?
6.
6 times, all the way through all 3 games.
Other people have played more, but each time I'm playing as a very, very specifically created character. So it's not just playing for fun. It's a whole thing. I'll do a podcast if you want that.
And you still have not finished Persona 5.
No, I have not. I've also never seen Caden all the way through to the end. So close one time.
All right, and then then also if you want to give us reviews or rate us, do that on all your favorite podcasting sites. If you want to listen to the episode you just listened to, go to one of your favorite podcasting sites and listen to it.
But not the one you listen to this one on.
Yeah, give us another view. Yeah, and if you leave us reviews, we will try to read them here. And then if you want to contact the show directly, CosmereChronicles@gmail.com. Send us something, be like, hey, I like this, yada yada. Or if you're with White Castle and you want to give us a sponsorship, you can do it there.
No, Joe. I'm afraid I'm not a White Castle supporter anymore. I am now officially a Wendy's spokesperson, as you have seen on my art page. And anyone who wants to see it can go see how I am selling Wendy's to people. So I cannot endorse White Castle any longer, Joe. I'm sorry.
Enemies.
God, no. I hated that so much. White Castle wasn't even an option.
White Castle doesn't have a mascot.
It's Harold and Kumar. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I guess I can't argue with that, Sheta.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to be it for this week's episode. So everyone go out there, enjoy some delicious White Castle.
Delicious Wendy's. Some tasty Wendy's. Get a biggie bag. Terrific deal. New pretzel baconator. Good stuff. Do not eat at White Castle. We do not support it here any longer.
Yes, we do.
Whoa.
All right, but everyone go out there, have fun, and see you next week.
Quality is our recipe.
Goodness. Bye and good night.